On the latest episode of the Turn It Round the Corner podcast, I'm joined, although you probably won't like me saying that, by football royalty. Someone that was my drama teacher, was involved district football, county football. I would say one of football's just unbelievably, not only nice men, but just wealth of knowledge. So, Mr. Walker, or Pat to some. Pat, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah. So, Pat, we've known each other a very long time. We probably won't bring up any stories of me in the past, but let's talk about just your current role before we go from the start. So, current role is at Man United.
Yep, I'm a first team scout, full time for Manchester United.
And how long have you been doing that?
I did it part time for 23 years.
Yeah.
And I went full time 8 years ago.
Okay. And so just your remit is first team only?
Not just first team. I do from 18 upwards.
Okay.
And I cover from the Premier League down to under 21 football.
Right. And that sort of role at United's evolved, right? You used to do match analysis and stuff like that, and now it's purely just on player recruitment.
Yeah, up until about 6 years ago, it was a mixture of recruitment players, but I also used to do opposition match reports as well. But that went to data.
Right.
Became very much data driven 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's just looking at players now.
Okay. So I think that obviously that's amazing, and we'll get back to that. But I'm really interested in the journey. I know we've spoken last week about your journey, and you've got some great stories. But how did it all start from you in regards to like your football journey? So let's take it back to playing wise. Did you play football? Or?
Yeah, I played football. I played as a kid.
Yeah.
Every Saturday, Sunday.
Was that in Harlow, Pat? Or
no, this was in Buckersteel, Woodford.
Right.
I played from a school on Saturday. I went to Woodbridge.
Yeah.
I was a right-footed left back.
Yeah.
A la Dennis Irwin.
Yeah.
So I played every Saturday from the school. My school team was a very, very good side. We were undefeated for 5 years. And lots of boys in the team were at professional football clubs, played for county and district. I played for district, played for Redbridge. And on Sunday I played for my local side, which were called Broadmead.
Okay.
And I absolutely loved it. And then I went to university. I played for my university team, and when I came back, I played non-league.
Right.
Mainly for Harlow Town.
Yeah. Okay.
But a lot of that was for their reserve team.
Right.
Although I did have some first team experiences.
And is that when sort of your teaching career? Did you go to university to study teaching?
I went to university to become a teacher. Qualified to become a teacher, and my first job was at King Harold in Waltham Abbey.
Okay.
Initially as an English teacher, but because of my obsession with sport, I said, "Can I teach some PE?" And they said, "Yes, you can." And I said, "I'd really like to take a school team."
Yeah.
So they gave me the year 17.
Okay.
Which is where it all started, really.
So talk to me about that year 17.
So my year 17.
Some great stories about a certain individual.
Yeah, my year 17. First year we won the Essex Cup.
Yeah.
Which is a great achievement. But we won the Essex Cup because we had one player in the team.
Yeah.
Who was a monster. He was one of those kids that's bigger than all the other kids.
Yeah.
And he won us every single game.
Right.
So my team talk, I started off trying to be a very professional football coach, and it was useless. So this kid was called, his first name was Stuart, can't remember his second name, but his nickname was Tigger, a la Winnie the Pooh, because he wouldn't sit still. He just used to jump around all the time. When I taught him during training sessions, he never shut up. So my team talk was, give the ball to Tigger, and he'd go and win games for me.
Winning games, what in a technical way, or just because he was just so big and strong and powerful?
So big and strong,
right?
And the other kids couldn't deal with him, basically.
Right.
He didn't like passing the ball. Very frustrating.
Where did you play him, Pat?
Midfield.
Yeah, centre apart.
Yep, centre of the park. So
Yeah.
he'd pick up the ball from his keeper or his back four, because I never played a back three, because at that time I didn't know what a back three was.
Yeah.
And he'd just run through the opposition. And they'd try and kick him. And basically, he won us the Essex Cup that season.
Quite an achievement in your first season, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. And because of that, Harlow and West Essex schools football came to watch the team a lot to pick up players for their sides. Tigger obviously played district football, and because of that, they asked me to run a district side.
So was the district, like, had that been running long then, or?
Sort of just getting off its feet.
Right, okay.
So they gave me a year 8 district side the following season, Harlow and West Essex. And again, I was very, very fortunate.
Who was in that team, Pat?
So up front, I had 2 boys. One was called Paul Reed,
who
was at Arsenal at the time, and he went on to play for England schoolboys. And up front, alongside him, was a boy called Lee Hodges, who came from Waltham Abbey. And he got down to the last 30 in the English schoolboys trials.
Is that Big Lee Hodges or Little Lee Hodges?
Big Lee Hodges.
Right, okay.
The Little Lee Hodges is the one that was at West Ham. We call them Big and Little, that's how we differ between them. Both fantastic players. But these two, like Tigger, they won me games. The rest of the team, apart from a couple of individuals, they won us all the games. Paul Reed especially. Paul Reed was a exceptional player, and when he went to Arsenal and got into the reserve team side, his nickname was Goals. Because he scored so many goals. And again, I was very fortunate because of these two, and we won the Essex Cup, the Essex District Cup. And because I had these players in my team, professional clubs started to come and watch them. And West Ham came and watched these two especially. Though it's ironical, Paul Reed was at Arsenal and Lee Hodges went to Tottenham. But West Ham were very interested and became interested in me. And because in Harlow and West Essex there was no sort of real scouting setup. They said, will you come and work for us part-time? I said, yes, I'd love to. Young, enthusiastic teacher.
So what year was that, Pat?
So we're talking 1985, 86. So for 5 years, I worked as a youth scout for West Ham. And I took quite a lot of players to West Ham. You may have been one of them, mightn't you?
Oh, yeah, that was maybe a long time ago. But who would you say would be out of that first spell of boys at West Ham, and he go on to have a really good career? Paul Reed at Arsenal, though. What happened with Paul Reed at Arsenal? So he went to Arsenal, didn't he? And then did he go Millwall? Did he go somewhere else?
He went to Millwall when it didn't work out for him at Arsenal. And he was nailed on to get into the Arsenal first team because he just scored goals. Basically. He went to Millwall and then went to Luton. And then sort of disappeared. But when he was in England schoolboy, he was up there with the best in the country.
Was that just? Why do you think it didn't work out at Arsenal? Just too many people blocking his path, or?
I think they just brought Ian Wright in. So that may have been something to do with it. I can't explain it really. Because he, like I said, he was nailed on to play in the Arsenal first team. Never got a first team appearance. So, which is strange, really. Whereas Lee Hodges, played for Tottenham first team, and had a good career at Reading, and then a especially good career at Plymouth, where he still resides. So I think he did some coaching. I think he ran Truro Town for a while. So from that, I worked for West Ham for 5 years.
Primarily younger.
Just kids. Just kids, and took quite a few players to West Ham. A lot of Harlow and West Essex boys. In that Paul Reed side, there was a a Harlow boy called Tony Comerford.
Yeah, Trig.
Trig
Yeah.
is his nickname. And yeah, and took some good boys there. Some good boys. And then my next district side was an outstanding side.
Right.
I took lots of district sides. They were the best side I ever took. We got to the semi-finals of the English Schools Trophy. And in that side was a boy called Ashley Cooper.
Yeah.
I took him to West Ham. But at the same time, there was a Man United scout in the area who wanted to take him to Manchester.
Yeah.
And I became very, very good friends with this Man United scout.
Yeah.
His name was Malcolm Fidgeon. He was a head teacher in a Harlow school.
Right.
And he'd worked for United for a long, long time.
Was you still working at the King Elwood at the time?
No, I'd moved to Burnt Mill
right.
in Harlow.
Yeah.
Was promoted. And I started to develop Harlow and West Essex district football.
Mm-hmm.
To such a degree, and I'm very proud of this, is we had 6 teams running.
Yeah.
From primary school level through to year 11.
Yeah.
And we started to win things as well, not just in Essex, but in London as well.
Yeah.
Which is a big step for Harlow football at the time. Because they were very sort of Essex boys thought that's where it stopped.
Yeah, of course.
Football. Then you took them into London. It was a totally different ball game for them.
Big strong boys, much harder for them. Yeah.
Didn't know what hit them, and I sort of had to change the culture of Harlow football. And the culture was, you go out and get your attack in first.
Yeah.
And initially the boys didn't like it, the parents didn't like it, but when they first played London teams like Redbridge and Waltham Forest and Newham, and they saw their boys being kicked from minute one, they realised that something had to change.
Yeah.
And we changed the culture, and because of that, we started to win things. Like I say, that district side, we got to the semi-finals of the English Schools Trophy, which is the Schoolboys FA Cup.
Yeah.
And lost to Liverpool schools at Anfield.
And who was in? Can you remember players from, obviously, your district team? Who was in that district team, Pat?
So at the back was Gary Plowman, who I took to West Ham.
Yeah.
Had a kid called Chris Dorian.
Yeah. Went to my school, was in my sister's class. Yeah.
Went to Burnt Mill, my school, and not big, but technically very, very good.
Lovely lad.
Yeah. A kid called Ryan Gunn.
Yeah.
On the right hand side. Went to Tottenham. Yeah, Ashley Cooper I talked about.
Yeah.
A boy up front called Neil Goff.
Yeah, Goff. Who
got some first team time at Orient.
Yeah. Did.
The kid on the left hand side called Tommy Nelson. One of the best left feet I've ever seen in my life. But not just good individuals. They were a good team. They gelled as a team. And probably my biggest disappointment in district football, we played Liverpool schools at Anfield, and with 4 minutes to go, we were 3-1 up.
Wow. This
is in front of 10,000 people. And my central defensive midfield player, his name was Bradley Bissett. Do you know?
Yeah, I know him from around Harlow, yeah.
Big old strong boy.
Yeah, big boy.
Technically, not particularly gifted, but his job was just protect your back four.
Yeah.
When it comes in, edit, kick it, don't care where it goes.
Yeah.
I don't want you playing out from the back. And for 86 minutes he did that in this game. And then he went missing.
Rogue.
Because we were 3-1 up, and I'll go into the opposition half now and taste some glory. Went missing, and they equalised with practically the last kick of the game, and they won it 5-3 in extra time. So,
can you remember who was in the Liverpool schools team, Pat?
There was no one
no one who kicked on.
No, but because my district sides were successful, I was asked to take an Essex schoolboy side.
Yeah.
Which is a great honour. And my first Essex schoolboy side Beckham was in the side.
Yeah.
We're talking about him as a 14-year-old now.
Yeah.
And Malcolm Fidgeon, the Man United scout, had already picked him up when he was at Ridgeway Rovers.
Yep.
But came to watch the games, the Essex games, because Beckham was in the side. And because of that, we became very, very good friends.
Yeah.
But in that Essex side, we had Ryan Kirby.
Yeah. Played with him at Harlow. Top man.
It was Harlow.
Had a good career.
Had a very good career.
Yeah.
Harlow first team manager for a long time.
He was Arsenal. Did he go for Arsenal
as a kid? Yeah.
Where did he go? Was it?
It was Doncaster.
Doncaster. There you go.
Scunthorpe, I think he may have gone. We had Joel Swain.
Yeah.
Right back at Arsenal. Mark Oddle.
Yeah.
Glenn's cousin.
Yeah.
Who was at Tottenham at the time, then went to Southend. Matt Holman, left back.
Yeah.
Went to Southend. Scotty Canham.
Yeah.
Who was at West Ham.
Yeah.
Always
the famous argument: why have you released Scotty Canham and kept Frank Lampard?
Yeah. And up front we had two boys, Jason Bissett at Arsenal.
Yeah.
And we had a kid called Nana Boarchi.
I know we've talked about this before, Pat, for just people that might not know. Talk to me about Nana.
So Nana Boarchi, he wasn't tall, but he was stocky. He was very well built, technically fantastic, and had this amazing balance. And every single club in the country was after him.
Yeah.
Every single club. And Beckham wasn't the best player in the side by a long shot.
Yeah.
Beckham didn't even get England schoolboy trials. Nana played for England. Our goalkeeper played for England. And a lot of the other boys, like Jason Bissett, got down to the last 30.
Yeah.
But Nana was the boy.
Yeah.
And he decided to go to Watford.
Is there any reason why he went to Watford?
No one knows. No one knows.
Did he live that way? He was a London boy, wasn't he?
No, he was a Waltham Forest boy.
Waltham Forest boy, yeah.
Went to Watford and disappeared without a trace.
Right.
Without a trace.
No non-league career, nothing?
But not as far as I'm aware of,
right.
No. And can't figure out what happened to him.
No.
But if you'd have come and seen the side, you'd have looked at Beckham and said, yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah.
But compared to Nana and some of the other boys in the side, Scotty Canham, for example, David wasn't the best player.
Yeah.
But the difference between David and all the others was he had these blinkers.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it as a professional footballer. And he wasn't distracted by anything else. And you've all seen the results, obviously.
Yeah.
So, because of my relationship with Malcolm Fidgeon, who was legendary in scouting circles, everybody knew him. He wasn't just a schoolboy scout, he was a first team scout. And you name a player at the time coming through, Tony Adams, Paul Merson, Teddy Sheringham. You took them all up.
Yeah.
Took them all up. There wasn't a player that he didn't take up to Manchester United. John Terry, for example.
Yeah.
And we became very, very close. And one, because of our football association, but two, because he was a head teacher.
Yeah.
And I was a teacher in Harlow. Our families became very, very close. And he retired from teaching. And one winter, he said, I'm going to India for a month, one Christmas. He said, Manchester United would like you to cover me and do my work whilst I'm not there.
So was that just a holiday, Pat? He was going
on holiday for him, yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, okay. I said, what, just youth team work? He said, no, we'd like you to do first team work. I said,
right.
What does that involve? He said, we'd like you to do opposition match reports and look at players. And I was like, no, very excited to be offered a...
Yeah. Was you still doing your work at Arsenal at West Ham at the same time?
I was working for West Ham.
Yeah.
Just on an expenses basis. I wasn't getting paid by them. I said, yes, very excited to work for Manchester United, but a bit, in
awe?
Very much in awe.
Yeah.
Because I go from being a schoolboy scout to going to first team games and suddenly you're sat in the director's box.
Yeah.
Because that's where the scouts go.
Right.
And it was a whole different experience for me, especially doing opposition match reports.
Yeah.
Because they were so important.
Sure.
You know. And I did that for a month, and at the time, you do your match reports, you'd write them.
Yeah.
And you post them. And my first opposition match report, I remember I did Portsmouth. We had them in the League Cup.
Yeah.
And
what year was that, Pat? Can you remember?
This will be
early 90s or late 80s?
Late 80s, early 90s. And I'm teaching one day. Secretary comes down. Pat, there's a Mr Ferguson on the phone. And I thought she was taking the mickey. No, seriously, Pat, there's a Mr Ferguson on the phone. So I goes to my office, picks up the phone, and it's Sir Alex. Pat, your report hasn't arrived. And I said, well, I sent it. It must be lost in the post.
Yeah.
No matter. We've got Portsmouth tonight. Give me the strengths and weaknesses now.
Yeah.
So there's Sir Alex on the phone. I've never spoken to him before in my life.
Yeah.
And there he is asking me about.
And you got 30 kids.
I've got 30 kids who, I shouldn't be saying this, who were left unattended for half an hour whilst I went through the opposition.
Yeah. Sure, the kids in Burt Mill could entertain themselves.
Yeah, I'm sure they could. So no, it was a whole different new experience. And then Malcolm came back from India and said they're so pleased with your work.
Yeah.
They'd like you to work for them full time. And I came home and talked to my wife about it, and I couldn't afford to take that risk of going full time. Young kids. Sure. Mortgage. There wasn't the guarantee of full-time work like there was in teaching. So I said I'll go part-time. Right. If that's all right. And they said, yeah, that's okay.
What was the stipulation around part-time? So many hours or so many games, or just whatever they required?
Whatever they required.
Right.
So I was doing 2 jobs basically.
Right.
I was finishing teaching at 4 o'clock and going to games 2-3 times a week in the week.
Yeah.
And then I was doing games on a Saturday and Sunday. So bear in mind that I was district football, county football. So I'd run a district side on a Saturday morning, go to a game for United in the afternoon. I'd play on a Sunday morning. I'd perhaps do a game for United on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
And it came to a point where my wife said, something's got to give.
Yeah, yeah.
We've got 2 young kids.
Yeah.
You're going to have to give something up. So I gave up playing, which I still regret because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And so basically for 23 years, I did 2 full-time jobs, and I was promoted in education. I became a senior teacher. So life became more difficult as a teacher in education.
Yeah.
And I was still doing. So bear in mind that if you're doing a first team match report at the time,
how long?
It had to be in the next day.
Right. So if you go and watch, let's say you go and watch Leeds United on a Wednesday night, it had to be on Sir Alex Ferguson's desk.
By Thursday. If we were playing them on a Saturday,
all right,
had to be there Thursday afternoon.
And still are we still talking written form then, or?
No, we'd gone to more of the data side then.
Yeah. I
remember distinctly we had an Ofsted inspection at school.
Okay.
And I'm in charge of taking the inspectors around the school. And I'd done a game the night before. I think it was Southampton. I'd gone down to Southampton, got back at 1 o'clock in the morning. I had to be in at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because we had an Ofsted inspection. Yeah. And whilst I'm taking Ofsted inspectors around the school, I'm writing my report.
Yeah.
I'm tapping out my report. It was bonkers.
Would you change that looking back now?
No. Wouldn't change a minute of it.
No, I bet you wouldn't.
What I would say is I was tired all the time.
Yeah.
Used to have to come home and
be a father,
be a responsible father and play with the kids. And to this day, and I've had this conversation with my kids, I still feel guilty about not spending enough time with my kids. And and they both say it wasn't a problem, Dad. You were there for us.
Yeah.
But it was probably a tighter version of what I wanted it to
course.
be. You know, so.
But like looking at the teaching thing though, do you think like having that football sort of background and dealing with kids that come from different backgrounds, did that make teaching easier? Because even though you was what I would call I'd say a cool hip teacher, like, I don't ever feel like anyone ever took any liberties with you.
No, I come from a working class background.
Yeah.
And when I was 11, you okay talking about this?
Yeah, cool.
When I was 11, I took my 11 plus and passed it with flying colours.
Yeah.
Do you know what the 11 plus is?
Yeah.
An exam you take when you're 11 to decide which secondary school you go to. And my parents put down 3 grammar schools.
Right.
In Woodford and Buckersteel.
Yeah.
And when the time came through, I was sent to my local comprehensive.
Yeah.
Woodbridge. And I was used as a guinea pig at the time. Let's put an intelligent kid into a secondary comprehensive school and see how he does. And I had no choice.
Yeah.
So they sent me to Woodbridge, which at the time was a rough old school.
Was it? Okay.
Rough old school. And the first thing I did was I got into the football team.
Yeah.
With all the thugs and the bullies. And they left me alone.
Yeah.
For 5 years they left me alone. Whereas all my mates were hung upside down in toilets and their Kit Kats taken off them at break time and
the old blue starfish.
Yeah. And
I think that's a great level of football, right?
But I loved it. It was such an education for me.
Yeah.
Being around those sorts of kids.
Yeah.
But having the parental backing as well.
Yeah.
To do well at school, and it was the best much better education I could have had at a grammar school.
Yeah.
Where I'd have been with all the posh kids.
Yeah.
Basically. So yeah, I took that through into my teaching, and people like yourself, working class kids, they were my classmates.
Yeah.
And I recognised that, and I could have a conversation with those kids.
Yeah.
And there was no distance between us and them.
I just think not even people that knew your football background at school, there were teachers that, without being rude to your profession, that you take liberties with, but no one took any liberties with you, and that must have come from, obviously, you've got your school background, but being around and just having that exposure to kids from all backgrounds for football must have just made it not a walk in the park, but just a lot easier for you.
It did, and that's why I love teaching so much as well, because I had this affinity with the kids, and I knew where they were coming from. Kids from troubled backgrounds as well. I'd sat next to those kids at school.
Yeah,
you know, and I made it quite clear from day one. I'm not taking any nonsense from you from day one. And I was horrible.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was horrible, but you have to learn respect.
Yeah.
And I respected the kids, and they respected me because of that. So in that respect, I was quite different. Not from all the teachers.
Yeah.
There are other teachers that you know.
Yeah. That
had that respect from the kids as well. But they'd come from similar backgrounds as well.
I'm trying to think though, sitting here now, like you're saying about how good your first King Harold school team was. My school team were absolutely horrific. I think we won one game in 5 years. Obviously, all my team, they went to Markle and so on and so forth. Like you wouldn't have had time to do a school team, I suppose. But I'm just thinking, sitting back now with all your like football prowess, how we got a couple of rugby teachers running our school football team.
Harlow schools at the time, before Christmas, rugby.
Yeah. Well, Mark at our school, Birkmill, was a massive rugby school, right, when I was there.
If you wanted a kid for district football before Christmas, no chance.
Yeah.
They're playing rugby, which was a good thing in a way because it toughened those kids up as 100%. Well. But for me, it was frustrating because I had very talented kids that were being not made to play rugby, but weren't allowed to play district football by their PE teachers in all of the Harlow and West Essex schools. After Christmas, it wasn't a problem. So
you changed that slightly though, didn't you? Because I remember that never seemed a problem. I don't know, maybe because it was the Harlow Sports Centre thing. I don't know, but I don't think I ever suffered the problem for that.
I had some big run-ins with PE teachers.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be saying this.
No.
Most of them were Welsh.
Yeah, it's Welsh.
There was a tradition in Harlow schools. You employed
Yeah.
Welsh PE teachers, and they were all rugby boys.
Yeah.
And couldn't really understand. Yeah, you can have them after Christmas, but they're playing rugby.
Yeah.
And these are the days when you go out in Harlow on a Saturday morning and you'd see every football pitch, every rugby pitch.
Yeah.
There's games being played.
Yeah, yeah.
And this was school sport at the time.
Yeah.
You go out now, all the pitches are empty, or they've been built on.
Yeah.
Harlow Sports Centre.
Yeah.
Where we played district football and county football.
Yeah.
Is a housing estate now, for example, which is very, very sad.
Some of my favourite memories are playing on them pitches in front of Harlow Sports Centre.
Yeah. Because I had this association with Harlow Football Club.
Yeah.
Who used to play there at the time. They said, come and play
district
games there. And on a Friday night, every Friday night, we play county football.
Yeah. In the stadium, yeah.
Beckham, most of his Friday nights between 14 and 16 were at Harlow Sports Centre.
Yeah.
Playing for Essex, you know.
So, like district football and county football, Pat, how did you get to the point where like you started taking? We went on some great tours. How did you get to the point about taking them kids abroad? How did that opportunity arise?
So the Beckham side,
mm-hmm.
We were offered to go and play in the Dallas Cup,
right?
In Dallas,
yeah.
And we said, yeah, we'd like to do that.
Yeah.
And we took Beckham's side out there.
Yeah.
And that was a real education. We played a year up, and a lot of the sides, the South American sides, were technically brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you remember Tijuana?
Yeah.
That
was the first. Obviously, we'll get on to you taking us to Dallas, but that was the first time that I had been like proper assault. I remember they spitting in our face and just on a night like we'd never seen this stuff before.
No, South American boys technically very gifted, but the dark arts.
Yeah.
The dark arts. The American boys.
Yeah.
Super athletes.
Yeah, big and strong.
Big and strong and athletes. Technically not very gifted, but they'd run you off the park.
Yeah.
And we. Yeah, it was hard for the boys.
Yeah.
And in hot conditions as well, which they were never used to.
Yeah.
Great experience for them.
Yeah.
Now that the advice was take water on board all the time because the conditions were so hot. But fantastic experience for them.
Yeah.
Fantastic experience. And then the year after, we took your district side.
Yeah.
And you experienced it yourself, didn't you?
Yeah. How did you again, the teacher background, did it help you taking a group of kids? Because that is hard work, right? You're taking a group of kids that you're not taking them around the corner. You're taking them 12 hours away to play in Dallas. Yeah, time change.
But bear in mind that I was used to that. I'd done lots of school trips anyway,
right?
With Burnt Mill and King Harold, so I was used to that. And the advantage was you all stayed with American families.
Yeah, we had a great time,
which made it much easier.
Yeah,
which was a great experience for you.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly, one of the parents was an old ex-Harlow parent, weren't they? So they knew all of you anyway.
Grapevine.
That's right, yeah.
Grapevine, Texas, I can remember that.
Yeah, and so most of the time you were looked after.
Yeah.
And you were brought to games and you were picked up from games. So we weren't having to sit outside your bedrooms each night making sure you weren't out misbehaving.
Yeah.
You know? So... And also a very good educational experience for you as well.
Yeah.
And it was the same with the Beckham side as well.
Yeah.
I think David is still in touch with his homestay in America. How good is that?
Yeah, that's brilliant.
How good is that? You homestay an English kid.
Yeah.
And 5 years later, he's one of the most famous people in the world. You know, fantastic experience. So,
couple of famous stories from that tour.
Yeah. What, from the Beckham tour or your tour?
Well, either. I love your story about Beckham if you want to tell that.
I can tell it, yeah. We got to the final.
Yeah.
And the night before, all the homestay kids had arranged a party.
Yeah.
And we said to the boys, if you go to the party, you're not playing in the final.
Yeah.
And 95% of the kids went to bed early.
Yeah.
Didn't go to the party. And our one Mr Beckham went to the party. And turned up next day, we found out about it. And you're not playing, David. Why? We said,
Yeah.
no mobile phones at the time. So
Yeah.
I think he went home to his homestay and rang his mum and dad.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, his mum and dad were fantastic,
Yeah.
so supportive of us as managers and coaches. Flew back to Heathrow, got off at Heathrow, and Ted and Sandra are waiting there for me.
Yeah.
Why didn't David play in the final?
Yeah.
I told them, and they went bonkers with David. Absolute bonkers. And go and apologise to Mr Walker, which is the parental support you were looking for.
Yeah, 100%.
It wasn't always like that, I can assure you. And he learnt from that.
Yeah.
He must have learnt from that. And I've got a lovely letter upstairs that he wrote to me.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking me to Dallas. It's an experience I'll never forget.
Yeah. Who did you play in the final, Pat?
Didn't play Scotty Canham because Scotty Canham didn't go.
Right.
Mark Hoddle.
Okay.
Mark Hoddle played. And was outstanding.
Right.
Was absolutely outstanding. We come back to England, first county game we played Surrey. Scotty Canham and Beckham are straight back inside. Mark Hoddle's dropped, and I made the announcement in the changing room, and we still laugh about it to this day. He wasn't pleased.
Who did you play in that Dallas Cup final, Pat? Can you remember?
I think it was Real Madrid.
Was it? I remember the year we went. West Ham youth team were there. Trigger, Matt Holland, Jamie Richards, them boys. They got to the final. I think it was 6-0, wasn't it, by Real Madrid. It was just unbelievable. Players in that team.
Yeah, but that Real Madrid side again.
Yeah,
technically superb, but the dark arts.
Yeah,
you know, but just a wonderful experience. You know? So, and district football and county football and school team football. I'm proud of my achievements.
Yeah, massive.
For so many Harlow and West Essex.
I felt like we'd become a bit of a force, Harlow and West Essex.
Without a doubt, and we had a reputation. And what we used to do every home game, I used to print a programme.
Yeah. I've still got them in my loft, probably somewhere.
No other district did that unless you got to a final.
Yeah.
The parents used to bring food.
Yeah.
So district opposition used to turn up when there was a buffet afterwards for the kids. I made sure the boys were suited and booted.
Yeah.
Harlow and West Essex ties.
Yeah.
You know, they had to turn up to games. No trainers.
When we were sorting my memorabilia out the other day, me and my boy, we found you know the red pin badges that we took to Dallas, and we were swapping with all the different teams. Yeah, found a few of them.
Yep. And we set up a very good reputation, and not just in terms of standards, but we also started to win things as well.
Yeah.
For the first time ever, a Harlow and West Essex side from out in the sticks, the district side, won the London Cup.
Yeah.
My best ever district side that got to the English school semi-final when they were year 6.
Right.
We played Islington and Camden in the final.
Year 6, so that's not even
school.
That's last year of primary. Yeah.
Yeah. Have I told you the story about Joe Cole?
No.
We played Islington and Camden in the final, and people have told me they've got this kid called Joe Cole. He'll run you ragged. And Malcolm Fidgeon had told me about him because Malcolm had
taken him up.
Already taken him up.
Yeah.
And first 20 minutes, I doubled up on him, this kid. First 20 minutes, he didn't touch the ball.
Right.
I can't show it now because it's a visual thing. But after 20 minutes, our keeper kicked it out, did a long hoof up the park, which wasn't my style really. And it came to Joe Cole, and most kids would just head it back straight away, or perhaps try and chest it down.
Yeah.
Joe Cole bent down, and he back flipped his right foot. And bear in mind, it's gone over his head. He back flipped his back foot. Have you heard this story?
No.
And flipped it back over his head. And did a body swerve and took half of my team with him and just ran through and scored. Now we lost 6-0.
Wow.
And Joe Cole was astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. Nothing on him, but technically wise and character wise, he was just astonishing.
Yeah.
And played in some of the boys I took to West Ham, Ashley Cooper.
Yeah.
Gary Plowman played in the same team as Joe Cole.
Yeah.
They won the Milk Cup.
Milk Cup, I remember,
in Ireland.
Yeah.
So, all good experience, which I took with me into my scouting stuff as well. But it wasn't just the football and district and county football; it was life skills as well.
Yeah.
You know, if you were late, you didn't play.
Yeah.
If you answered back to the manager or were rude to the manager, you didn't play.
We've just had a conversation.
Yeah,
about
you've just done the same with your boy, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know, and I know Mark Oddle, his boy played for him, did exactly the same. So, you know, the principals went through all of you. I know lots of you that have run schoolboy sides, and I've gone to watch your sides.
Yeah.
And I've been really proud of the discipline you've got in the kids.
I think that's more important than the football. I always think that, like, some of the things that you've, like, obviously ingrained in me, like, I've ingrained in my boy, and I always say the football side will take care of itself, but you've got to be on time, because as you go up the levels anyway, if you're late, it costs you money.
Yeah.
You got to be smart. Your boots have got to be clean.
Yeah.
You got to, when you get there, you got to be courteous and shake everyone's hand.
And whether or not you've had a bad game and he's had a nightmare, you shake the referee's hand.
Yeah, exactly.
And you shake the linesman's hand as well.
Yeah.
Start of every season, we used to have trials. Used to get the squad together.
Yeah.
And I'd get the parents together. You know, thank you for all your support. Really appreciate it. You're giving up your free time. But, you know, just bear in mind that I'm the manager.
Yeah.
I'm giving up my free time as well. I don't mind you supporting your boys.
Yeah.
But if you ever question me or are rude to me, your boy doesn't play.
I think that's changed massively now.
Oh, huge.
Like, I see it, obviously, a boy coming back into grassroots, I see it every week now, that everyone wants their kid to be the next Joe Cole, for instance.
Yeah.
And there just seems to be, like, I don't remember, like, my mum used to come to cup finals, but there used to be about 5 people on the sidelines. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? But I feel like back in the day, you just used to turn up, play football, go home. Now, like, I'm watching under-8s teams when there's like 200 people there.
And screaming parents.
VO's on to record it. Why are you recording an 8-year-old kid? I don't know. And everything seems to have changed. And obviously things change for the better sometimes. And I know as you get older, you look back on things and think it was always better in your time. But I do look at a lot of, like, junior football and think it's not better. I think, on that note, what would you say is your argument? Like you saying, your keeper booted it, and what do you think about the sort of change in kids football in regards to smaller pitches, more touches on the ball? What's that for?
I like the fact they're smaller pitches, and so technically they become better.
Yeah.
But I question the character building sometimes.
Right.
You know.
In what regards, Pat?
When you're thrown into a game.
Yeah.
And you've got to become a character.
Yeah.
Rather than hide in your shell.
Right.
Because if you want to be a professional footballer or a non-league footballer or whatever level of football, it ain't nice. It ain't nice. And, you know, my ultimate goal wasn't to win every game. It was to have a good experience.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you wanted to win things, you had to adapt to the situation. I remember distinctly when that really good district side with Ashley Cooper and Gary Plowman in year 6, it was February half term, and we played Newham schoolboys.
Yeah.
A big game, Harlow Sports Centre.
Yeah.
There were like 100 people.
Yeah.
And Newham had a boy. His name was Amos. He went on to play for West Ham.
West Ham, yeah.
And he was huge.
Yeah.
He was massive, like Tigger.
Yeah.
And I said to the boys, my team took was go out and kick Amos. And the boys were like, oh, what do you mean, kick him? Just go out and kick him.
Yeah.
All right. 2 minutes into the game, we're 2-0 down. Amos has picked the ball up from the kickoff and just walked through our boys, and they've all backed off. And in those days, you could call a timeout at primary school football. So I called a timeout. Both managers agree, and obviously their team took was Amos, just carry on, do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I said, I never ever shouted at my boys, ever. And what did I say?
Yeah.
And bear in mind, I never used to allow the parents anywhere near me when I did a team talk.
Yeah.
All this nonsense now, the parents sat there in the circle with the kids and the manager. I just don't understand it. What did I say? You said kick him, Mr. Walker. We'll go out and kick him. Well, what if I concede a free kick? I don't care. Because if you kick him, Gary Plowman, you like a good old thump, don't you? Yeah. Just go and kick him, Gary. You're with him at West Ham, because I'll take him down to West Ham.
Yeah.
Just go and kick him. What if he kicks me back? Well, he kicks you back. All right. We'll have you back. And they went onto the pitch and they kicked him.
Yeah.
And we won 6-2.
Yeah, first one in.
And that was you could see the culture changing then, These Harlow boys, these Essex boys were wrapped in cotton wool.
Yeah.
And suddenly realised there was more to football than thrashing a team from Bishop Stortford.
Yeah.
Of no disrespect, white middle class boys. And they thought they were the best thing ever, There is the exception, obviously, because Glenn Huddle came from Harlow. But he was the exception,
Yeah.
But having said that, it's ironic, isn't it, that it's not now, but at the time when you were playing and before that, it was a hotbed for players.
Yeah, 100%.
But you weren't meek and mild.
No.
You went out and you kicked.
Yeah, but
where did you learn that?
I think for me it was when me and Pikey was at Norwich and they said you can't play in the Harlow League anymore. It's too so we were at Sawbridge.
It's too soft,
and it was too easy, as you said, beating teams like Saturn 23-0. You've got to go and play somewhere else. We both went to the Sports Centre, and I think whatever league was in mid-arts, we went there. But I think playing district football does expose you to more teams from, as you say, more different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And you were going into London. As I say, I always thought, you talk about your team. I remember my district team, we thought we were pretty good. And I can't remember if it was Liverpool or Manchester schools. We played in the National Cup and we got done 6-0. And I don't think we even kicked it.
Yeah.
And then there's a realisation then that you're not actually as good as you think you are.
But no disrespect, obviously. But, some of those boys were going to London and play your Redbridges, your Barking and Dagenham, Waltham Forest, your Newhams.
Yeah.
And it's the first time they'd ever played against or with a black boy.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And that experience was fantastic for them.
Yeah.
And the boys that started to play county football, and I'm proud of this as well because more and more Harlow boys start to play county football. For the first time ever, they were playing with a black boy or an Asian boy.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic for them.
Yeah.
And their experience and their education.
Yeah.
When you were in Harlow, did you ever play with a black or an Asian boy?
No, not at the time. I think I'm trying to think of my Harlow team. No, or my district team or any team at the time. No, but does it looking at it now, Pat, and all that work? Like, does it sort of upset you or grate you a little bit that we haven't got a district side around here?
Upsets me greatly.
Yeah.
My old school, Burnt Mill. My last 5 years at Burnt Mill.
How did that fall apart then, Pat? How did we go from having such a thriving system to not? When you gave it up, did someone else take that on, or did it?
Yeah, for a little while, but they weren't prepared to make the commitment.
Right.
Weren't prepared to make the commitment. People ask me, what do I have to do to become a district manager? You've got to make sacrifices. What do I have to do to become a first team football scout?
Yeah.
You've got to make sacrifices with your family.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I say, well, when there's a parents' evening, you go to the parents' evening.
Yeah.
Or do you go and watch a game?
Yeah.
When they're in a swimming gala, do you go to the swimming gala or do you go and watch a game?
Yeah.
Me and my wife had this conversation at the time. My wife took on all those responsibilities.
Yeah.
Whilst I was driving down to Bournemouth midweek to do a opposition match report. It breaks my heart now when I drive around Harlow on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
There's no game taking place. I'm not just talking football.
Yeah.
Harlow Sports Centre in the summer. The athletics track.
Yeah.
used all the time.
Yeah.
Every evening you go down there.
Yeah, it
would be
was.
used.
Yeah.
Is there an athletics track now in Harlow?
I think it maybe at the Mark Hall.
Mark Hall.
Yeah.
That's only because it's a sporting academy.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart. Last 5 years at Burnt Mill, no Saturday morning sports.
No.
Because no disrespect to the teachers, because they were hard working, but weren't prepared
They
to
didn't
commit to a
want to do
Saturday morning.
No.
Which not criminal, because society and life has changed, and they've got commitments and they've got their families and so on. But the deal was, if you were a PE teacher, you gave up your Saturday morning, and it changed like society has changed.
Yeah.
Like education has changed.
Well, I remember leaving school and playing. If I have school football on a Saturday morning, then it moved to like a Wednesday afternoon or whatever it was. So how long did you do the district and county stuff in total for, Pat?
15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you look? But I suppose obviously you do. But you just look back on all that with fondness and
great fondness.
Yeah.
Not just the kids that play for me. I'm not just talking about the professionals that come.
Yeah.
Through. Someone like Beckham and John Terry.
Yeah.
Who came through and were stalwarts for their country.
Yeah.
So proud. I'm not saying it's because of me, because there's so many more factors.
But you had a part to play, though.
Yeah, and when they were kids, and their families, and we'd socialise.
Yeah.
With the families and the parents.
Yeah.
We'd socialise with the Beckhams and John Terry's mum and dad, and they were so supportive, and it was always thank you so much, Mr. Walker.
Yeah.
Whether or not we'd been stuffed or we'd won or got to a final. No, Beckham's side got to the county national final.
Yeah.
Which we played at Anfield. Again. We went 1-0 up after a minute and lost 3-2, and a little Robbie Fowler played for them and scored 3 goals for them. I'm proud of that. But the thing I'm most proud of is the experiences like yourself kids have had.
Yeah.
Dallas, your first time out of Europe?
Might sound like a middle class white kid. No. But it was I think for most of the boys. That trip definitely cemented my sort of love of America and all things American sport. I spent a few years back working in Dallas. I had about 3 years working for a Texan firm. We used to go once a month, once every 6 weeks, at least twice a quarter. And I always used to drive out Grapevine and have a little look, because our office wasn't far from Grapevine. Yeah. Great, like as you say, great memories. I just think it's more than the football, right? I think, like you said, if you put the work in and you're half decent at football, I kind of feel like football will take care of itself. But there's so many more, like what I'd call transferable skills that you pick up from, I think, playing at a competitive level of football and being able to travel.
That was the most important thing for me, was the education of the kids.
Yeah.
Not moulding you into professional footballers, although...
You must have you got a number of how many come through district?
I couldn't say. A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. If you became very good footballers, which you did, and a lot of you did become very good footballers, it was always play to the highest standard you can.
Yeah.
And play for as long as you can as well. Yeah. I know you're still playing, which I think is great. I miss playing football still.
Yeah.
I miss playing football.
I must have played football with you the last couple of times you played, wasn't it?
Well,
that teacher's game that I come and play for you.
Do you remember that?
Was that? Did someone boot you?
Someone took me out.
Yeah.
You play for me.
I played for Burnt Mill. It was Burnt Mill teachers, wasn't it?
Burnt Mill staff. We played Stewards staff.
And
he was a big mate of mine.
Was he?
Deputy head at Stewards, Gary Carroll.
I can just remember you being on the floor.
He took me out. He broke my ankle.
Did he?
Yeah. I was in A&E that night, and on crutches the next day. Big mate of mine broke my ankle, and I remember you going up to, "What's the matter with you? This is a staff game. What? You went right up to him. Do you not remember?
Oh, I remember just you playing and Kieran playing and Sam playing, but I remember you going off injured.
You went up to him. What is the matter with you? This is just a staff game, and you took him out. You took him out.
There you go.
And it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. But he broke my ankle, and
Yeah.
and he's round my house the next day.
Right.
I'm so sorry, but I'm so sorry. I mean, you can't work. He said, no, I'll be in school on Monday.
Yeah.
So know that getting education out, life skills out of it, becoming good people.
Yeah.
Playing to the highest level you can for as long as you can.
Yeah.
Taking it with you. If you take a football team, instilling those ethics into the boys, which you do, which Mark Coddle did.
Yeah.
Tony Comerford now, he
Yeah.
played in my first ever district side. He's doing the same thing with his boy, who's starting to play to a good standard.
Yeah.
And those principles and that discipline are all coming through, you know.
You know, obviously you've had a foot in both camps, so like football and teaching. Do you think there's less of like the education element slipped away with regards to football? Everyone's just so dead set on becoming a footballer, everything else is dropped.
It's not just becoming a footballer.
Right.
It's everybody, and I think it reflects our society is so wrapped up in themselves now.
Right.
So I don't go and watch schoolboy football anymore because I just think it's so appalling when all the parents care about is their boy.
Yeah.
Or girl.
Yeah.
And they can't see the effect that's having on their children. Some kids I've seen walk off the pitch and never play football again because the parents just leave me alone. Yeah. Just let me get on with it, Dad, Mum. Just please leave me alone.
Yeah.
And it destroys them, and people are so wrapped up in themselves now, they forget about how this can be education, how it can make them better people. And you know as well as I do that sport as an individual or collectively, if it's done right, it's got to make you a better person.
Yeah, 100%.
It's got to make you a better person. When my son was playing, and he was a fiery character, he was like you. I used to stand aside from all the other parents, and I used to think I was a snob.
Yeah.
What's his problem? And I never shouted at him once on the pitch just to say well done or clap, you know.
Yeah.
And in the car on the way home, we'd have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Coddle always used to say the same. My dad never used to say a word to me on the pitch. Afterwards, in the car, well played, son, or not such a good game today. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Yes. No, if not, I wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know. And do you do that with your boy?
No, I would say I encourage all boys to play well and have a good game, but I'm more like the principles, like what we spoke about. Like if you're not running around, I'm more concerned about those type things rather than if he's played well. They're the times if we have words, it'll be you're not running around or you're not listening or you're not doing that. Like everyone's going to play good and bad. Like the example I told you about on Sunday. Like I'm now coaching, which I don't know if I actually like coaching my son's team. Like I would prefer to be coaching that team without him in it. But I try and treat all the boys the same. So when I'm telling them something, I expect them to. And I told him, and as I say, I'd say it on air. I told him the same thing 3 or 4 times. He didn't listen to me. So I took him off. I told him in no uncertain terms that whether he's my son or not, that if a coach, not just me or the manager, tells you to do something, if you can't do it, won't do it, or turn the other cheek, then you'll come off. And that for me is not even about football. That's that, because if you let things like that slide,
it's a life skill,
then he'll go into school and when his teacher's talking to him, just ignore him. Or when he's got homework due on Wednesday and he don't turn it in, that like I just think I've always said to him 3 or 4 things before every game: be a good teammate, run around, get stuck in, do things simply. That's it. If you can get one in first, get one in first.
Yeah,
You know, when he was young, it was always there. That's the biggest kid. He'll be a centre forward. Give him a whack.
What I used to say to my son, and the parents in the team were appalled by it.
Yeah.
What's going on?
But I think like what you said is like I probably learned the hard way, but I think you got to be able to. I think as you go through the levels in sport, you've got to be able to differentiate how you are off the pitch and in the bar or whatever, or in school. But then I just think football at like school sometimes, as you mean, dog eat dog, right? And that's how I've explained sometimes to my son, like football, school, don't take a backward step, because in this day and age, even more, I think if you take a backward step, then people take liberties.
I've never, that's a lesson as well. It's a tough old world out there as well, and in any sport, but football especially, you've got to be able to look after yourself. And I try to instill that in the boys as well, which is why I tried to change the culture in Harlow and West Essex football.
And it's harder now because everyone's so protected. But back in the day, even non-league, right, it was you got to get the first one in.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more ruthless. Whereas now, and I just think, I know we always talk about players and players' progressions and pathways. That's why I think sometimes that players these days struggle to cope, because everything now in academy football is like they call it
wrapped in cotton wool.
What they call it, development football. But now, obviously, they've extended that by playing under 21s. So now, effectively, you could play development football to your 21. And we always talk about this kid going out on loan or when they need to go out. And then they go out at 21. And if they've left it too late, they'll go play Division 1 or Division 2. And someone smashes the light out of it, and you look like a rabbit in the headlights. So I think it's more important than ever that you're just on the front foot.
But in that respect as well, go out and get your first kick in and your first tackle in, whatever. But what was always important, which is why I'd encourage parents to bring food to the game, so the boys could gather afterwards.
Yeah.
And when you move on to non-league or professional football, you have a beer with your opposition 100%. Afterwards. I mean, probably some of your best mates were members of the opposition. And you're probably still big mates with them. Schoolboy football was like that for me. I became good mates with lots of the opposition. How did you become a first team scout for a professional football club? People often ask me. I've said this to you before as well. You've got to be in the right place at the right time and be lucky. So lucky for me. Lucky for me was Tigger. I'm serious. Because without Tigger, I wouldn't have been asked to take a district side. Consequently, a county side that Beckham was in. I wouldn't have met Malcolm Fidgeon. And by the way, there's a whole podcast on Malcolm Fidgeon. I'm telling you now, and I miss him desperately. I really do. I wouldn't have had any of that. And it's luck as well. But sometimes you make your own luck.
Yeah, of course.
As well. And but one of the biggest things we've talked about is taking through your working class principles as well into what you're doing, both in education and in your football as well. That's why I was a bit different. But a lot of the people I've met in football, especially schoolboy football, and some of my best friends still were working class boys and took that through into their football.
So how long, Pat, was you working at Man United part-time while you were teaching?
23 years.
Right.
23 years. I was doing 2 jobs.
And was there any stipulation by that point of what you had to do, or was it still just as and when they're going to tell you need to go X, Y, Z
so then
during the week?
Bear in mind, the structure was much smaller than it is now. So then I was told, right, these are the opposition you've got to watch.
So this was teams maybe in the next month that the first team would be playing?
Within the next 2 weeks.
Right, okay.
We'd always do the 3 games before.
So you'd watch the same team 3 times before they played them?
Always did that 3 times before. 3 different scouts.
Yeah.
From So Malcolm would be one.
Yeah.
I'd be one, and another of our scouts would be another one.
And why was that, Pat? Just to see any differences or different players that might play?
New players coming in, different formation shape.
Yeah.
And I had no choice. Can you go to Portsmouth midweek?
Yeah.
Portsmouth is a nightmare journey.
Yeah, easy.
From Harlow.
Yeah.
M25, and I'd have no choice. These days, they put us up in a hotel,
right?
Because I'm full time.
Yeah.
Those days, I'd have to be back because I was
there and back.
I had to be at school 6 o'clock in the morning, sorting out cover teachers for that day.
Yeah.
You know, and sorting out when I was going to start my report.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then if they wanted me to watch a player, they'd tell me to go and watch a player.
If it was opposition, Pat, was it more, what at that time were Man United more concerned with? Would you just say like patterns of play or set pieces? What were they really interested in?
So that time we do patterns of play.
Yeah.
Do they play it out from the back? Do they go long?
Yeah.
Do they go Wimbledon style?
Yeah.
Like Wimbledon used to. Not like my district and county teams used to. The Barcelona-esque were my sides, Christian. I wish. Patterns of play, set pieces we used to do at the time.
Yeah.
It's all done by data now.
Yeah.
Set pieces. And that was difficult because you used to have to write it down quickly. You didn't have phones then.
No.
Strengths and weaknesses. Which are their strengths?
Yeah.
Which are their weaknesses? How can we get at them? Have they got a weak fullback we can attack that Giggsy can attack?
Yeah.
You know. Have they got a midfield destroyer? Have they got an Alan Shearer up front?
Would United back then, Pat? Would they change like this? For instance, their left back was a lot weaker than the right. Would they swap Giggs over, or did they just want to know that or would they change? Would they tweak their team to?
Sometimes they tweak the team.
Yeah.
And you get great pleasure and pride of seeing them do that. But the greatest pleasure I got was when they'd act upon my advice about strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
So if there was a centre back that had no pace, and I said that, and we'd sit on that centre back and run at that centre back, you knew they were acting upon our advice.
Yeah, sure.
So you got pleasure out of that, and they did act upon the advice.
It's brilliant.
Because at the time, they went straight to Ferguson.
Yeah.
And he'd read it, and he'd give it to his first team coach, whoever the first team coach was at the time, and they'd pick their team
off the
based around that team. Malcolm Fidgeon, when we played in London, and I mentioned this because I did the obituary at his funeral. I mentioned this. They used to stay at the hotel at Waltham Abbey.
Yeah, the Marriott, yeah.
And Malcolm Fidgeon used to go in on a Saturday morning and tell Alex Ferguson,
see what they're eating.
No, this is a team you need to pick.
Right.
Based upon my match report. My first, because we used to go to the finals when United used to get to finals on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Our first final was the League Cup final.
Right.
Played Aston Villa. And Malcolm Fidgeon.
So when they lost?
Lost it.
Did Dwight York score?
Ron Atkinson was the manager of Villa, I think. And I think they scored a couple of goals on the front post from corners. Right. And Malcolm in his report had said they're strong on the front post at corners. You need to perhaps double up on them. And we ignored it. Malcolm was so angry that I hadn't acted upon his advice. But
did you have that relationship then, Pat, when you could say, I told you that? Or
no, Malcolm did.
Right.
Malcolm did. Or if we missed a player,
right.
Malcolm up front with Sir Alex, Malcolm would say, you're wrong. Or he'd take a player that Malcolm didn't like, or he wouldn't take a player that Malcolm really liked.
And
he'd tell Sir Alex.
Right.
But bear in mind, Malcolm was up and down to the training centre in Manchester all the time, taking kids. So he'd go into Sir Alex's office and he'd have a conversation with him. I didn't have that relationship.
Right.
Although, in recent times, Sir Alex has been very, very good to me for various reasons. I haven't been very well recently, and Sir Alex found out, and the first person on the phone to me was Alex Ferguson. On the phone to me for half an hour.
Class.
You know, and it is class. So, different times, Christian.
Yeah.
Different times. So I went full time 8 years ago, and I was still doing match reports, but on the computer, and you just press a button, it goes off to the data people.
Yeah.
Who compile a report. And then 6 years ago, they decided to go full time, just on video.
Right.
And I can see the strengths and weaknesses in that.
So how does your role change now then? So they're obviously getting the video from the game.
Yeah.
And what your eyes on the game as well.
No, I don't do opposition match reports at all now. I just do first team player reports.
Okay.
From 18 upwards.
So they get all their opposition off Y-Scout or whatever and go for it.
Yeah. And I can see the strengths.
Yeah.
And the weaknesses in that as well. So I can't say, because it was a lot of hours.
Yeah.
When I was doing it up until 6 years ago, I was spending sometimes 8 hours a day on opposition match reports, because it had to be thorough.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think things can get missed with data, Pat? Do you think it's a way of
in terms
should be a mix of both?
I think perhaps a mix of both in terms of the atmosphere at a stadium.
Yeah.
You probably know this as you go to some non-league stadiums where it's absolutely hostile.
Yeah.
You go to Millwall.
Yeah.
And I've seen fullbacks being
pelted. Yeah.
Taken off by the manager.
Yeah.
Because they're getting such a hard time when they take a throw in.
Yeah.
A throw in. You don't necessarily pick up on the hostility.
Yeah. And
the intimidation at the ground. And sometimes you don't pick up on how a player reacts. If they're perhaps substituted.
Yeah.
Or they're brought on to do a job in the final 10 minutes of a game. Sir Alex always used to say, Solskjaer, you're coming on in 5 minutes. And he'd know that Solskjaer would have watched the game and knew exactly what he had to do when he came on.
What centre half to go and play on or whatever.
To change the course of the game. And you perhaps don't necessarily see that on video. So swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
There may be some things you pick up on video and data that you wouldn't pick up on going to a live game.
Well, I suppose one of the best things of data, I suppose, as well, is you get the ability on what videos just continue to rewind and check and look and go back and pause.
You can go back.
See what signals are going up.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll go to a game and watch a player.
Yeah.
And have I missed anything? And I can go back onto video on the Y-Scout system.
Yeah.
And make sure I've got it right.
Yeah.
Especially with two-footed players.
Yeah.
I'll often go back. I don't know what their strongest foot is.
Yeah.
So I'd perhaps go back and quantify what I've thought when I was originally at the game.
Yeah. So now in your current role, is it 10 games in 2 weeks you have to view?
So I'll cover 10 games in 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Whether it be live or on video, I go to as many live games as I can.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy going to to live football.
Yeah.
Whether it be Premier League football, whether it be Tottenham under-21s at Stevenage, Arsenal under-21s at Boreham Wood, which I like.
Yeah. Because
you can drive up and park right next to the stadium.
Yeah.
There's not all the hassle of getting on a crowded tube train.
Yeah.
With supporters, and I still enjoy going to live games, but at the same time, watching video games is part of my role now, and I very much enjoy that as well. So my role's changed greatly.
Yeah,
it's changed greatly. The club has changed greatly. Society and life has changed greatly.
Where do you see football going in the next 10 years, Pat?
What, English football or football in general?
Just football in general, or maybe even English football, whatever.
I hope it doesn't happen, but I can see the Super League further down the line.
Right.
One of the saddest things, which was probably the death of district football and county football. If the kid was a professional club, you're not allowed to play county or.
Yeah.
David Beckham was told that we don't want you playing district school county football, and he said, "No, I'm playing with my mates.
Yeah.
At school in Chingford, I'm playing for Waltham Forest. I'm playing for Essex." I think that may have been a part of why he became so good on and off the pitch. That education, and you see academy boys now who are exceptionally talented, who don't know how to book a haircut, or a dentist appointment, because it's all either done by the club or by the agent now, and they don't get those knocks in life, that education in life that you and me have had. And when it comes to playing, with the first team, they're not ready because they haven't had the knocks, which is why I think it's good that a young 21-year-old who's exceptional at under 21 level goes out on loan and he's beaten up and knocked about and gets the reality of life. I can't think of an example. Harry Kane. Yeah. Went to Millwall.
Come to us first. Wasn't great for us. Got
went
five in 50 games.
Yeah, but went to Orient. Went to Norwich, I think. Didn't
no, he went Orient, Millwall, Norwich, Leicester, I think.
Yeah, and he learnt what it was like to be left out.
Yeah.
He learnt what it was like to be on your own.
Yeah.
Away from your family.
Yeah.
Up in Norwich, whatever. And he got the knocks in life.
Do you think now, though, Pat, with the money involved in under 21s, under 23 football, do you think people are just happy sitting in that bubble under the pretense of being a professional footballer?
Sometimes, when you hear about the amounts of money that 16-year-olds are earning, at a professional football club, you wonder where the desire is anymore, the motivation. Not that money should be a desire. It never was for the likes of David Beckham, John Terry. Money was never the motivation. It was to be the best person you can and play football at the highest level you can for the longest amount of time, I think. It sums them up, doesn't it?
Do you think Premier League football will become a bit like the NFL, where the money's going to keep going up, so it'd be like a very short career, like a 2 or 3 year in and out, done, rather than, as you say, people playing to their mid-30s? And
depends how good you are.
Right.
Look at Walker at Man City. He's probably got another 2-3 years left in him.
Yeah.
Money isn't a motivation anymore.
He'll go back to Sheffield United when he finishes at Sheffield United.
You think so?
Yeah.
Go back to his home club. I watched a documentary on Shearer last night. The choice was United or Newcastle.
Yeah.
I want to go home. I want to go home to my home club. Probably knowing full well that he was going to win more in that United side with Alex Ferguson as manager. Yeah. And you can also see the Premier League games being played abroad now.
Yeah.
They're talking about 2 or 3 games a season. You can see it being more than that now, because by going abroad and the television revenue, we're just doing a fortune, an absolute fortune. World Cups, the Euros, which I was obsessed with as a kid.
Yeah.
It's going to be like the last World Cup. They'll go where the money is.
Yeah.
Rather than where the people want the football to be.
Yeah, I kind of found like it just a bit false, right? As you say, you're in places where I'm not sure as soon as the tournament finishes they're that bothered.
No.
That's a busy time for you though, right? Like a World Cup and the Euros. I remember seeing you during the Euros around here, and you were watching games every day. And
every day, live games, video games.
Yeah.
All the scouts are allocated.
Yeah.
So yeah, busy time for me, and World Cup a busy time as well. Not necessarily live.
Yeah, sure.
Obviously. Funnily enough, getting tickets for scouts for World Cups and Euros
Right.
is very, very difficult.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Very difficult. No, I want young people to be in love with football.
Yeah.
Like I was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But for the right reasons. When you're having to pay 95 quid for a first team shirt.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Or you want to take your family to a Premier League game and you're paying 500 quid.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see the Premier League cutting adrift and just it being a free league.
And the scary thing is lower league teams being non-existent in 5-10 years time because they're not important anymore in the great scheme of things. Whereas they are important to local communities. You and me have seen it.
Yeah.
With our local side, Harlow Town, are playing in a. What league are they playing in now?
Well, Furlough, none, second divisions, but they're getting 500 fans.
I know, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, but our local kids playing for Harlow Town now.
Yeah.
Are they?
Don't know the answer to that really. A couple, I think maybe a couple, but I think like non-league's a bit like, you know, in the football league, people go where the money is, right? At whatever level it is.
Did you go where the money was?
Sometimes I did, even in work. But I always found that when I made decisions purely on money, that it never worked out how I wanted it to. Like as I say, the company that I went to work for in Dallas, I went purely for the money, paid very good money, but I hated every minute of it. But sometimes in life, I think football is the same. Sometimes in life, I think you get one or two opportunities to sliding door moments in it. Same as football. Sometimes you're going to make a good one or a bad one. I just think nowadays everything's on the Premier League, and I feel like a lot of people are falling out of love with football. The good thing for me personally is obviously massive lover of non-league. Like the teams further down the pyramid are feeling the love because the attendances
are up, aren't they?
Further down the pyramid are a lot higher.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see the Premier League cutting themselves adrift. We'll have a free division league, or maybe bring the conference in, and we'll just rock on like that, and all the the big sides go and play in.
But people will still pay for their season tickets, and people will still pay for their shirts.
Yeah.
And their.
I don't watch. I know, as I say, we was having this conversation last week, but I don't watch Premier League football anymore. I couldn't tell you the last. I think I put Match of the Day on about a month ago. It says more about my age, maybe, but I fell asleep. I just can't connect with it. Like I've made my boy force to support Leyton Orient, but most of it is because when he goes there, he's not. It's just a bit more special. If he wants to go and talk to the players in the bar after, he can talk to the players. Like we went a couple of weeks ago, as I said to you, met another Harlow boy, Richard Keogh, who's on the staff at Blackpool. But as the players
used to play for Harlow and West Essex.
Yeah, as the players come into the bar, like Bert's talking to them. Like unfortunately, you don't get that elsewhere anymore. So what would be your proudest moment? Would you say, Pat, in football?
Oh, that's a very, very good question. Or
have you got one for each district, county?
No,
Man United.
District football is, when I was chairman of Harlow and West Essex, seeing district football flourish in the area. 6 teams from year 6 through to year 11.
Yeah.
Sometimes B teams.
Yeah.
Them going out every Saturday morning and competing.
Yeah.
But going out with pride and dignity, suited and booted.
Yeah.
Every kid shaking the referee's hand at the end of the game. Win, draw or lose.
Yeah.
Getting to the semi-final of the English Schools Trophy. Bear in mind the final was live on Sky TV, 2 legs.
Wow.
4 minutes away from it. Joe Cole's Islington and Camden got to the final.
Yeah.
They played Liverpool schools in the final. So at district level, county level, seeing boys come through and play for England.
Yeah. How many boys do you have play for England? Michael Black played for England, I remember that.
They didn't play for England. Play for England schoolboys.
Schoolboys, yeah.
Yeah. County level, Beckham,
John
Terry, Paul Konchesky,
yeah.
Bobby Zamora.
Yeah. J. Lloyd Samuel, did you have him?
No. Nicky Shorey.
Yeah.
All went on and played international football, and you look at someone like John Terry and David Beckham,
unbelievable captains,
who were captains, and unbelievable captains as well, and played for the shirt and played for their country with pride. And you think back to them at county level, and what such nice kids they were, and what humble kids they were as well. And I think that they took that through with them as well. I do.
Man United, what would be your proudest moment so far at Man United?
That's a really difficult question. Not necessarily on a personal level. The treble year was something special.
Yeah.
Was something special. The fact that I'd done some match reports on when we played Newcastle in the final.
Yeah.
And we won the league, and I'd probably done a match report on everybody we played in the league that year when we won the league. I didn't do Bayern Munich because we didn't used to go abroad at those stages.
How did you do that then, Pat, in Europe?
We had our European scouts.
Right, okay.
Sir Alex's brother was our European scout. So he did the match reports on foreign teams. And I'd like to think I had a little say in us winning the treble. Maybe with the match reports. Still very, very proud to work for Man United. Still very, very proud. There's been huge changes to the club with the scouting system, but still feel very passionate about working for Man United, and very privileged as well to work for Man United. So. And
to finish off, Pat, I'll exclude myself, not put you under any pressure, but
you're going to ask me about the best players that ever played for me, aren't you?
No, name me. If you had to play 4-4-2, name me the best youth football team that you could put together. Players that have played for you.
Go through the whole team?
District or county? Yeah.
That's a really difficult one.
Goalie. Give me a goalie.
Stephen Reeves.
Right. Don't know. Right back.
Stephen Reeves was in the Beckham County side.
Okay.
Played for England schoolboys.
Okay, well, okay.
Was at West Ham, then went to Everton. Right back. If I'm playing 4-4-2.
Yeah. Putting you right on the spot here.
You are putting me right on the spot.
You've got too much knowledge not to ask this question.
Left back is Nicky Shorey. Nicky Shorey, because he wasn't the biggest at the time, but he had an outstanding left peg. Couldn't always get in the side because he was so small at the time. Yeah. I'll come back to right back in a minute. Centre backs.
Terry's got to be one.
John Terry, most definitely. Although when he came to county trials, he came as a little midfield player.
Right.
Very nearly didn't make it because he didn't put it in the first trial. Malcolm Fidgeon took him to one side and said, "Pull your finger out."
Yeah.
I'd have to say Paul Flowers.
Right.
Do you know Paul Flowers?
No.
Same county side and district side as Beckham. Had a short professional career at Colchester.
Okay.
Headed it, kicked it.
Right.
Shouted at everybody. Off the park, the nicest kid. Midfield, central midfield, you'd have to say Beckham.
Yeah.
Scotty Canham, I'd say.
Yeah. You're playing Beckham in the middle, are you?
Playing Beckham in the middle.
Yeah.
Scotty Canham in the middle. I'll play Little Lee Hodges.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Because he was two-footed.
I'll tell him I'm supposed to play vets against him on Saturday, so I'll tell him.
Outstanding kid.
Yeah, good lad.
Man marking me. What should I do? Just lose them, Lee. Lose them. All right.
Unfortunately, he suffered. I think last time I played non-league with him, I think he had 50 operations on his knees.
Yeah. Right side of midfield. Ryan Gunn was good in my district side.
Okay.
And up front, I'd have to go. I'm going to leave Paul Reed out.
Right.
And I'm going to put Big Lee Hodges.
Yeah.
And Ashley Cooper.
Big shout for Ash. Good. Very good lad.
One of the best players ever played for me.
Yeah. His boys now. I think he's at Braintree.
Yeah. Shay Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right back. You owe me a right back.
This is going to be very controversial with the Harlow and West Essex boys. I'd have to go Joel Swain.
Right.
Was in my first ever district side, and the Beckham, and that would be controversial with lots of people.
Right. Thought you might have gone Youngie then.
Youngie didn't play for me.
Oh, did he not?
No, he played for Harlow and West Essex.
Yeah.
But he was in Dave Geiss's side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so didn't play for me. If he had, he'd have probably gone in there as well.
Yeah.
But not as a right back, as a centre back.
Yeah.
I saw his debut for Tottenham at West Ham.
Yeah.
What's the big old boy who used to play up front for West Ham? The Welsh boy.
Kitson.
No.
Kitson.
Did lots of
Hartson. Yeah.
Tried to beat Youngie up.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And Youngie stood up to him.
Yeah, I remember I was in the US at the time and playing and coaching there, and I remember it coming on. All I can remember is he hit that screaming, didn't he? That hit the bar. I remember it came out to he just run onto it and bashed it. I'm sure that was a game, but great career, Luke.
But again, he just had the right attitude. He was humble.
Did Neil play for you?
He played Harlow and West Essex, but he didn't play for me.
Right.
Youngie played for Dave Geiss.
Yeah.
Here's an example of Youngie and his humility.
Luke or Neil?
Luke. One Saturday, my wife dropped me at Epping Station.
Yeah.
Because I was going to a game in London for United. And Youngie was there. He played for Tottenham.
Right.
The youth team that morning.
Yeah.
And had to get the train and bus back to Harlow.
Yeah.
Imagine a kid doing that now.
Yeah.
And I said, get in. My wife will give you a lift home, Luke. Are you sure, Mr. Walker? Are you sure? Get in the car, Luke.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr.
Yeah.
It's saved me a journey, this has. Just so humble.
Yeah, good lad.
I'm sure he's still like it, isn't he?
Yeah, I speak to him now and then. He's just put together, he's come out more of the agency game. He's doing, player sort of, how can I call it? Advising. So mentoring, I would say. He's doing that. He lives in Ibiza.
He went to Dallas with you, didn't he?
Yeah. I'm trying to think, really. The only one I thought maybe had made it to the top in that Dallas team of ours that didn't was obviously Mark Farragut. He had really bad injuries. I think he went to the top surgeons that Arsenal had.
He was on the brink of a first team place.
Yeah.
At Arsenal, and
he's really good.
This terrible injury came along, which finished his career. So. Lee Hodges, Big Lee Hodges' nephew.
Yeah, nephew, yeah.
So.
Pat, listen, I don't think anyone's probably going to have the experience that you've had in football. I really appreciate you giving up the time. Just a wealth of knowledge and players and games. And
enjoyed it.
Yeah, as I say, probably the only teacher that could have got me to prance around doing drama dance. Yeah. I said to my mum at the time, I can still remember that. Every time that song comes on, Here Comes the Rain, I think of you making me prance around. I remember going home to my mum saying, how do I tell Mr. Walker that I don't want to do this? And I was at the same time, like, district football, I've got to do this dance.
You had no choice. That was basically it.
Yeah.
And good you did it as well.
Good time.
And you remember it as well, which is important. So.
I appreciate it, Pat. You're a diamond guy, mate, and even better, just unrivaled football knowledge. So thank you very much. Mate.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.